Hello everyone and welcome back. So in this video, I'll show you how to get the camera and audio permission from the user. To do that, you're going to use a library called permissionx. So I'll sync it now, and after it added to your project, I'll go to my main activity, which is here, and using it like this, I'll initialize this first, and after that, I'll give the list of permissions to it like this. Manifest that record audio and manifest permissions that camera, and after that I'll request for permissions, and for the listener I'll pass something like this. So I'll grant it. It's going to be my first argument and the other two is not needed. So I'll check if all granted is going to a boolean that all permission is granted by user, and if not, I'll show the user you should accept all permissions, and for the length I'll pass the line one, and after that I'll show it. But if all permission is granted, I want to start my activity. Once again, I uninstall my application and run it back. So if I want to enter here, it's going to ask me the permissions. And now we're ready to go. But since we don't want to show this view first, we want to call or receive a call first, and after that we will show this, I'm going to remove the previous code that I recently added to my call activity class that initialize it here. I'll remove it. And also inside my activity call, I'll make it go back to the invisible layout. So right now we are ready to interact with our signaling server and start the call with our opponent. Okay, let's remove all of this and go to our call activity. So inside that, after initializing our RTC client, I want to use binding, and using my call button, which is this button, and whenever it's called, I want to call the string that we are passing here. So to do that, I want to send a signal to the socket repository. I want to send a message that I want to start the call. So I'll create a message model, and the type of it is going to be start call. The username that is the caller is going to be my username, and the callee is going to be target, and it's going to be value of that edit text. So this one with the target username edit text to string, and for the data we don't pass any data, so we pass null. So if we run our application and log in again, if you check your server and call it, you'll receive a message from Masood and target to Ellie to start the call. So our start call function will be called. So it's going to find the user, and if user is not found, it will say user is not online. But if we find the user, it's going to return a message from call response that user is ready for call. So we have to go back and go to socket repository and check the response from the interface that we given to this socket repository. So here, if you log this message, you can see the message here. So if I run it again and open my log using this message, so if I log in again, if I call, let's say Ellie, you'll see a response is back that says user is not online because Ellie didn't log in recently. But if I write my name here, you'll see the user is ready for the call. So we have to check what kind of message type we are receiving. So using when and message.type, the first thing we have to check call response. So in case of call response, I'll check if message.data is equal to user is not online, it means that user is not reachable. Otherwise, we are ready for call. So here I want to toast a message, but we have to run it on the UI thread because we are on the socket thread. So I'll create a toast here and pass this as the context. User is not reachable and toast.lemflying, and then show it. So if we run it, let me log in. If I write Ellie, you'll see the user is not reachable. But if I write my own name, you can see there's no message because we're ready for the call. So which means we started the call. To do that, I want to hide this layout and show my calling layout like this. So here I'll create some functions. Private fun, set incoming call layout gone. Now coming call layout visibility is equal to view.gone. So I'll fast forward it. Okay, so with this methods you can control the layouts, that's the call layout or who to call layout. So right here we are running on UI thread. We want to set who to call layout gone and set call layout visible. After that, I'll initialize my surface view renderers using binding.apply, and using RTC client I'll initialize surface view, first local view, then remote view, and after that I'll start local streaming or local video to local view, and after that I want to call my opponent, which is going to be target username et to text.toString. So I don't have this function for now, but I will create it like this. So to start a call, we have to create an offer for our opponent. So to do that, I'll use my peer connection to create an offer. We're going to need an SDP observer. So I'll pass an object of SDP observer, and as the second argument I have to pass a media constraint. So I'll create val media constraint is equal to media constraints and add some property to mandatory of this constraint. I'll add media constraint key value pairs and offer to receive video, and I'll set it to true. So it means that we're offering to receive a video, and pass it here. So whenever this offer is created, we also add this offer to local description. So we use peer connection and set local description as a first argument. I'll also pass a SDP observer to it, and as the second one, the session description, I'll pass this p1 to it, which is recently created. So I'll implement the member of it also in clear code. So whenever this offer is created, I also want to set local description to this option that is also created. So let me rename this to this as the description, and here after we make sure that this offer is successfully set on our peer connection, so we want to send it to the opponent using our signaling server. So to do that, first I'll create an offer object. It's going to be a map, a hash map of SDP to description.description, but we have to null check it first, and after that I'll also set the type to description.type. We want to send this to our signaling server using socket repository. Send message. I'll create a new message model. The type is going to be createOffer. The username is us that is passed through the constructor, which is here that I have a name conflict, so I have to rename this. I'll call it target. So the username is going to be this one, and the target is going to be the target, and the data is going to be our offer. So we will send our offer to the opponent. But before I run this, I have to set this inside onSetSuccess method. So whenever this local description is set, then I want to send this offer to my opponent. So let's run it on my two emulators and check the logs. So I'll log it as API 29 and this one as API 24. So inside it, I'll call API 29. You'll see the UI is ready for creating the call, and here I received from 24. As you can see, it's offer received from name 24, and the data is going to be this session description. We are ready to create an answer for this offer. So let's go back to the call activity, and here after call response, I'll create another case which is going to be offer received. So whenever I receive this one, first of all, I want to set incoming call layout visible, and then I want to set the name of the caller inside this incoming text view, which is this one. So I'll set the text something like this: message.name.toString is calling you. So right here we have a status that someone is calling us. Then we're going to handle two accept and reject buttons. So binding.accept button set on click listener. After that, binding.reject button that sets on click listener, like this. So if we want to reject our call, we set incoming call layout gone, but back to the accept button. Oh, don't forget to run all of this on the UI thread before we run into the problem. Okay, so back to the accept button, we want to set incoming call layout gone. We also want to set call layout visible and set who to call layout gone. So after that, I want to initialize my surface renderers. So using binding.apply, I'll init local view, then remote view, and after that start local video using local view. So here we want this remote description that we have received from the signaling server to our RTC client. So I'll create a function something like onRemote session received and pass a session to it. Let's move it outside of this block and create our session. Okay, so our session is going to be a session description. The type of it is going to be session description type dot offer, and the description itself is going to be message dot data to string, and we will pass it inside our on remote session received. So let's create this function inside our RTC clients. It's going to get a session description, and here using peer connection we want to set remote description this time. So we have to pass an SDP observer, and as the second argument I'll pass the session. I'll implement the method of observer. We are not watching anything here, so it's okay. And after that we set our session as a remote session. So we are ready here to create an answer to the name of the guy that is calling us, which is 24, which is the caller. So I'll write message dot name. So inside here, using our peer connection, I'll do the same as I did as the call function. So let's make it just the same as the call function. So right here, I want to create an answer instead of offer. So here, as you already know, you want an SDP observer, and as the second argument, we have to pass the constraint to it. So I'll create a constraint again and update the mandatory list of this that we want to receive the video. Offer to receive video and set to true and pass it here constraints. And after we created an offer, let me rename it to desk as the description. I want to add it as a local description. So peer connection set local description. I'll create an observer again and pass the description to it. So after it's successfully set, we want to send a message to our caller. So we are Callee here and we want to send a message to our caller. So we use the socket repository and send a message. It's going to be a message model. The type of it is going to be createAnswer. The name is going to be our username. The target is going to be this dude, which I have to check it to targets again. And the data is going to be the session description that I'll make right here. Well, answer is equal to a hash map of SDP to description and the type to desk.type. So we pass it as the data here. So if we want to check it, let's run it again and also open the log. Let's clear it. Okay. So here I'll log in as API 24 and here as API 29. So if I want to call 24, and here you will see the notification that we are receiving a call from 29. So if I answer it, you'll see the data is coming back from user 24. So it is an answer received. So we are successfully exchanging the session descriptions. And after that, we want to check if there's also an answer received. I want to set the description. It's going to be a type of answer. And the value is going to be message data to string. So whenever we received a session description as type of answer, you want to set it to my RTC client or my peer connection as remote description. So I'll use on remote session received and pass the session to it. So that's it for this video. In the next video, we will see how to exchange the ICE candidates and establish the connection and start showing each other's videos.